Hey everyone, it's Kabir here. So from today we are going to start with the Bootstrap. We have some pending topics in CSS like some transformation concept, transition concept, flexbox concept. So we will be coming back to the CSS after few sessions of our Bootstrap. Okay, fine. So from today we are going to start with the Bootstrap. So let us understand what is Bootstrap. Now the prerequisite to understand the Bootstrap is CSS. Now, whatever the knowledge we have in CSS, that's more than enough. And the persons who are very new to our channel, don't forget to subscribe our channel. And if you guys don't know what is CSS and HTML, I would advise you guys just go and refer our previous sessions. Just come back to this session because the recordings will be available. So don't start directly with Bootstrap because you guys are not going to understand anything. And the persons who know HTML, CSS, they are ready to start with the Bootstrap. Okay, now what is a Bootstrap? Now Bootstrap is a CSS framework. Now Bootstrap is CSS framework. Now the question arises here, what is framework? A framework is nothing but some set of logic has been already written. Okay, and that some set of common logic. What do you mean by common logic? For example, you are developing one project, right? Now you require some basic things to start with that project. Means some basic implementation things you guys have to write the code. Means you have to write some basic code to start with your project. In the same way, another person is also starting the project. Now even if you wanted to write the start the project, he have to write some basic code to start with the project, right? What is the basic code? Now as of now, if you wanted to create a web page, first of all you require a HTML page. So you should require HTML tag, you require head tag, you require body tag, which is a common logic, right? Even I start project, I have to write. Even if you start the project, you guys have to write, right? Now writing these three tags is very easy. Now just consider there is a common logic which requires some 1000 lines, right? Now to implement a project, I required some 1000 lines of a code that I have to write mandatorily. In the same way, other person is also developing a project, even he required the same 1000 lines, okay, to start with the project. Now third person is also starting the project, even he required same 1000 lines of the code. So now how much time we are going to waste to just write that 1000 code? So in the outside market, some companies are providing framework. So what they are writing, or I mean what they are developing in that framework, this common logic whatever required for starting with the project, already they are writing. And they are telling, we already wrote this common lines of a project, you just use a 1 or 2 lines, and that all 1000 lines are going to embed in your project. Now you are going to get rid of that common logic. Okay, it means that common logic has been already written by someone, we are just using it. Using how to use, just writing 2 or 3 statements to use it, right? Now in the same way, Bootstrap is also framework. Now Bootstrap is a framework of CSS. It means in CSS we are writing some set of properties. Now Bootstrap, what they are doing, they already wrote some set of properties. They have provided some default styling to us. Now they are telling, we are providing some default styling to you guys. Now you can use that styling directly in your project if that is the requirement, or if you want to customize, or if you want to add some 3 4 properties more, you can add it. For example, you are creating a button. Now to create a button, you require a tag called button tag, or input tag type equals to button, right? Now you have created the button. Now you wanted to make a fancy button, means some attractive button. So for that you are writing some 20 to 25 properties, just consider, of CSS. Now after writing these 25 properties, you have done. Now in the same way, someone else also creating a button, even he required a fancy button, so he is also writing some 25 to 30 properties. Now your 25 properties and his 25 properties are same. only some 5 properties are different, right? So what Bootstrap is telling, why you guys are writing that 25 properties which are same? So we already wrote that 25 properties and we are giving a default stylings to you guys. Just take that styling. If you require to customize it, you can customize it, or if you want to add some additional properties, you just add additional properties. Now if you are using Bootstrap, then how many lines of code you are writing? You are writing only 4 properties, because already 25 properties has been written by them. You are just using their properties. That benefit you are going to get with the Bootstrap. So what are the benefit? The first thing, there will be no error, because already they wrote the properties and already they have tested it. The first thing. Second thing, your development will be very fast, because already they have wrote some 25 properties. Now you have to write additionally some 4 or 5 properties. So anyhow your development is going to be fast. And one thing you guys have to remember, I'm just giving an example of 25 properties. A framework is going to cover almost 5,000 to 10,000 lines of your code. Okay, not Bootstrap. If you go to a server side technology like Spring, okay, now Express.js, there we are going to get some predefined things already. If you are not using that particular framework and you are starting developing from the scratch, you have to write additionally 10,000 to 20,000 lines, and there might be a risk that you might get into some error. Now to solve that error and to write that and rectify test, it is going to take a lot of the time. So the framework is a something which is going to reduce your development time. Okay, now it is going to increase your performance, and it is very easy to maintain your code as well. So that is what a framework is. Now Bootstrap is a CSS framework. It means it is going to provide some set of properties, and you can use that set of properties, and if you wanted to add some additional properties, you can add. Or if you want to customize their own property, for example, they have given some default background color, but you didn't like that background color, you wanted to use your own background color, you can give. That's the thing. If they have provide 25 properties, you are okay with 20 properties, you are not okay with their 5 properties, now you can override their 5 properties. So you will be writing just additional 5 plus override 5 means total 10 properties, and 20 properties has been provided by them. So that's the thing of your Bootstrap. Now to understand Bootstrap, now we have a website which is called Bootstrap, Get Bootstrap. This is the official documentation of your Bootstrap. If you want any detail, then you have to refer that particular website. So let me show you that website, guys. So I'm gonna open. So just search Get Bootstrap.com, or you can search just Bootstrap. Now this is getbootstrap.com. This is the official website of your Bootstrap. So all the details of your Bootstrap you are going to get from here. Now just come to your documentation. You are able to see documentation, right? Come to the documentation. This is just introduction class, guys. Here we are going to understand why Bootstrap, what is Bootstrap. Okay. Now once you started, now getting started, you have to come here, getting started. Now, if you wanted to use the Bootstrap, first of all, you have to link their Bootstrap file to your HTML file. So to link, we have this particular thing. Okay, just copy and you can paste in your head tag. In the same way, now if you wanted to use JavaScript, you wanted to use some functionality, right? For that also they have provided some set of functions in Java functions, right? Using that functions, you can do much better things in your website. That what they are going to provide, what we have to do, we are going to see entire in this course, right? So don't worry about this JavaScript as of now. Just think about CSS. Now if you wanted to use their styling, means they wrote their properties in some file, right? Now if you wanted to use their styling, first of all we have to link their CSS to our HTML. It is the same thing what we have did in external approach in css, right? We are writing css property in separate file. Now I wanted to use that properties, means that css file I need to link with our html file. Then only our html is going to understand what properties I need to apply on my elements, right? In the same way, they wrote some properties which is in some different files. So first of all, we have to link their file to our html. So to link that, they gave this particular property. This is called, this link has been provided. Or else what you guys can do, you can guys download from here a file. Okay, now they are going to give some set of files. Now that file you can keep in your project structure folder, and you can give the link. That's the second approach, and this is the first approach. Now what they are going to give, now just come to here. Now once you come to the documentation, after coming to the documentation, click on components. Once you have clicked on components, now they are going to provide all the components. Like for button, now if you wanted to create button, just use a button and their class name. So to get this styling, already they wrote some properties. Now if you use their button directly, now you are going to get something like this. For example, I will be telling what we are going to get. Okay, just as of now, just I'm showing an example. We are going to see everything in the detail, right? What is alert, what is badge, what is breadcrumb, what is button, what is button groups, what is card. This card is very important. Okay, so we are going to see everything in detail, so don't worry about it. Just you guys have to understand this is the official documentation, and if you want any details of bootstrap, you have to come here and you have to refer. That's the one thing. Okay, now you guys understood what is framework, what is bootstrap, why we have to use bootstrap, and what is official documentation. For example, after 1 year they are going to provide some additional features, then how can you guys understand what they have provided and how we have to use? Then for that you have to come to their official documentation website, and you have to study, you have to understand what they have provided, how we have to use, why we have to use, when we have to use. Everything will be provided in your official documentation. Okay, okay, now you guys understood bootstrap is something like that, and why we have to use bootstrap, that also that we have understood. In the same thing like bootstrap, we have one more framework, who have developed one more framework based on your bootstrap. Means he was inspired from bootstrap. Now by using bootstrap, you are getting, by for button default buttons, so by default you guys are getting these styles. Now he have implemented one more framework, and he gave the name as material design bootstrap. By in short we will call mdb bootstrap. Now it is also a framework. Now he also wrote some properties, but bootstrap properties, whatever bootstrap people wrote, that is different from the properties written by mdn bootstrap. So this is also mdn bootstrap. So m for material, d for design, b for bootstrap. Now this is the official website of mdn. It is also a framework. Now this framework works on top of your bootstrap. Now bootstrap has been developed using css. Now this mdn has been developed using your bootstrap. Okay, now this is a higher level of your bootstrap. Now he is also providing something like same thing like your bootstrap. Now bootstrap for button, what bootstrap is doing for button, he is providing some default stylings, right? In the same way he is also providing some default stylings, but his styling is little bit more attractive compared to your bootstrap. So let's come to our button. Let's me come to our components. Now once you come to the components, come to your button, same thing how we have in bootstrap, in the same way he is also designed it, right? But both are different, means both the things are developed by the different people. Now comes to your buttons. Now see, now this button is same thing like primary, and this is also primary. Now this button is looking more attractive compared to this button. And the same thing, they are he's also using some class like btn primary. He's also using btn primary. That means he wrote some set of properties to design this button. So what he did, he took some same properties of that bootstrap, and he just override few properties, and he defined or implemented this button in more attractive way. So like this we have so many examples, right? Now, if you wanted to use MDN or Bootstrap, first of all, we have to link their file to our HTML, right? So how you are going to get their file? So the first thing what you guys have to do, just instead of Bootstrap, we are going to use this MDN Bootstrap because it is more attractive, and many industries like in companies, they are preferring MDN because it is the additional part or upgrade part of your bootstrap. Okay, now the concept will be same, there will be no difference. So that thing you have to understand. Now if you wanted to use this bootstrap, first of all we have to download their file. So how can we download? After opening their website, come to get started, click on get started. Now once you guys have clicked on get started, comes to your first one. Now here we have a free and we have the pro. Now what is the meaning of free and pro? Now bootstrap is entirely free. Entire bootstrap is a free, you can use easily, right? Because it is a free. But what MDN is doing, he is giving two versions. One is the free version, one is the paid version. Now in free versions they are providing some 500 plus components. In paid, in your paid version also they are providing, plus additionally they are providing some 10,000 components. What do you mean by component? Button is your one component, form is your one component, your input tag is one component. So they are treating like they are using the term like a component. So they are providing some 10,000 additional stylings or additional kind of buttons to you guys in pro version. So if your company needs that pro version, they are going to buy, and if they buy, you can use that also, right? So here we are going to use entirely free version, right? Now after coming here, just come to the down. After coming to the down, just click on download. Now whenever you are going to click on download, a zip file is going to be downloaded. Just extract that zip file and keep in your project structure. Now this is something it is going to look like. I have downloaded and I have extracted and kept in my folder structure. Now what this folder is going to contain, it is going to contain some set of subfolders like CSS, some templates, some images, some JS files. JS is nothing but your JavaScript files. So don't worry about all this thing. As of now, you have to concentrate on CSS. Now they are going to provide some CSS folder. In CSS folder, they are going to provide some CSS files. See, they have provided bootstrap.css. Now this file is nothing but complete your bootstrap. If you download this, you are going to get bootstrap.css. In the same way, all this MDN is anyway top of your bootstrap, so they are also providing the same bootstrap files, right? This is the first thing. Second, now they wrote, now MDN wrote their own file, right? For that they are providing mdb.css. Now mdb.css contains some properties or some classes which is written by MDB people. Now they are providing bootstrap.css also. Now this contains some set of properties which is written by your bootstrap people. So if you download from MDN, you are going MDB, you are going to get both MDB as well as bootstrap. But if you download from bootstrap, you are going to get only bootstrap. Then separately you have to download this as well. That's why my suggestion would be, comes to your comes to MDN and just download MDN, because we are going to get many additional things from here. As of now, I told we are going to get bootstrap and MDN bootstrap.css, but we are going to get some additional as well that we are going to see step by step. Okay, once you have downloaded, once you have kept here, right? Fine. Now what bootstrap or a MDN Bootstrap is a sorry MDB. Bootstrap is going to provide, it is going to provide some set of classes, right? Now what this classes is going to contain, this classes, it contains some set of properties of CSS. Simple. Bootstrap is going to provide you set of classes. Now what classes contains? Now each class is going to contain some set of properties of CSS. You know what are the properties of CSS. The same properties of CSS they are providing, right? Now let's understand it with an example. Now let me create our first file. Like I'm gonna say, okay, fine. Now here I'm going to create 01 intro.html. Now this is our first bootstrap file. Now I want the skeleton of HTML. So what can we do? Doc, write a doc and press on tab. Now we got a skeleton of our HTML. Now suppose I wanted to create button. How can we create a button? Using a button tag. Button. Or here I'm gonna give a name of my button like ISMART. Now I'm gonna save it. After saving, I'm going to open it in a browser. Now this is what the button is. So let me keep this button inside a div. So let me keep this button inside the div. Okay, fine. Now let me say style equals to text align center. I'm going to save it. Comes to your browser. Now we got a button in the middle. Let me give some more properties. So what we can give, let me give some margin be some 20 pixel. Save it, come here. Okay, now we got a button. Now whenever we created a button using HTML, by default we didn't get any stylings. Now I wanted to provide some stylings to this button. So how can I provide? I have to write some set of CSS properties. So let's write some set of properties. So let me write a style. Okay, fine. So first property, what I wanted to change a background color. So I'm gonna say background. So before that I have to indicate this button, right? So for that thing, what I'm going to do, I'm going to give a class for this button, btn1, or whatever name you wanted to give, like button 1, something like that. Okay, now this element I wanted to represent in CSS. So how can? By using the class attribute. So dot button 1. Okay, fine. Now whatever the set of properties I'm going to write, that set of properties are going to apply to this class, and this class is present for this button, so that properties are going to apply for this button, right? So first of all I wanted to use some background color. So I'm going to say background color something like brown. Okay, fine. Now after giving a background color, I wanted to provide some padding, right? So padding equals to some 10 pixel. Okay, fine. The persons who are new to the Bootstrap, the prerequisite is CSS. You should know CSS properties. If you don't know what is CSS, you can refer our playlist. You can refer our all the previous videos, and you can learn the CSS, right, guys? So just if you don't know CSS, just refer that videos first, then come to here, because this recording is going to be present in your YouTube. So once you are done with that, then you can come here and see this, and the people who know already CSS, they can understand all these properties. So I'm going to save it. Now how it is going to look like? Now it is going to look like this. Now I wanted to give some border color, right? So for that we have a property called border color. Now what color I wanted to give? Some coral kind of color. Okay, fine, save it. Now you got a background color as well. right? Now, more properties you wanted to write. What properties you can write? You can write some like border radius. Now just write a border radius and just say 20 pixel. Okay, fine. And apart from that, now you got something like this, right? Now this is nothing but you have customized the button, you have created a fancy button. Now my requirement is whenever I'm going to keep a cursor, this text should change, right? From black color to the white color, and a background color also has to be changed. So for that, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna give some different color. So I'm gonna say RGB, and I'm going to give some color like 73, 67, some value 89. Okay, now I'm going to save it. Come here. It is not applied. I have to give the semicolon. Save it. Come here. Now we got something like this, right? Now whenever I'm going to keep my cursor on this button, a text, this ismart text is in black color, right? It should be changed in white, and background color also has to be changed. It is nothing but whenever I'm going to hover, that's nothing but be button 1 colon hover, and this kind of selector is called your pseudo selector, right? Now what should be changed? A background color should be changed. So let me copy this background color and keep here, and my background color should be changed something like this. Okay, fine. Now the color should be white. Save it. Now I'm gonna refresh it. Yeah, now it is changing, right? Now to make such fancy kind of button, we have to write some set of properties. So how many lines you have wrote? From 4 to from your up to your 13. That is nothing but your 9 lines, like 9 lines code you have wrote. Now in the same way, if you wanted to make more fancy, now you might write some more additional properties, right? For example, you wrote some 50 to 60 properties, 50 to 60 lines, right? Okay, fine. Now this is our customized. Now what bootstrap people are doing, don't write a default stylings for a button. Already we wrote some stylings and we are providing to you, and we wrote in some file. So if you wanted to use that, first of all you have to link our file, right? You should link our file to your HTML file. So how can we link? So simple, we have a for that link tag. So just type link tab. Sorry, it should be inside head, not inside style. So link tab. Now here we have to give the path of their file. Now their file is present in Bootstrap. So their file is present inside the CSS, and this is their file bootstrap.css. Now we have to give the path. Now they both are in the same folder. So /mdb, then inside the CSS, then Bootstrap. Now you have to save it, right? Now let's create their button. Now if they wrote some proper set of properties, then they might wrote a class or ID. But what Bootstrap is telling, we didn't wrote ID, we wrote a class. So if they wrote properties, then they have provided the class name. So we have to understand what is the class name, right? So let's come to our MDN. Now let's copy this first one. Okay, now comes here and just paste here. So let me write some BR tag. So that we are going to get some gap between our button and their button. Now save it, comes to here. Now refresh. Now see, now this is the button which has been provided by them, and this is the button which is created by us. Now see, whenever I'm going to keep a cursor on here, Now it is changing, some color has been changing, some background color has been changing. So they wrote same thing like a hover, so they wrote some set of properties, right? In the same way, if I want our button should be look something like this, so let's what we will do, instead of border radius, let me give it to be 5 pixel, and let me remove border color. Let's see how it is going to look like. Now little bit the same, so they might have given the padding. Let me change it to 5 pixel, save it. Now our button is little bit similar to their button, right? Right, fine. Now to create this, we wrote some set of properties. Now to create this button, they have wrote some set of properties. Now what classes they are providing for us? They are providing the classes called btn primary and btn. And for our styling, we are providing the class name called btn button 1. So in Bootstrap, they are going to provide some default classes. Now you have to, what you are going to learn in the Bootstrap, you are going to learn some set of classes, and you guys have to understand, okay, this class is used for this styling, this class is used for this styling. Then according to your project requirement, you have to analyze which class you guys required. Okay, you required a sum class, so you told I required a button primary class, so you have used it. But they wrote some set of properties, but you are not happy with that set of properties. Now you told I wanted to customize that. Means, for example, now they have provided some kind of background color, right? Now you told I don't want this background color. I want the combination of two colors as a background color. So you wanted to customize. So to customize, you have to copy their class name. So btn primary is used for the background color. For example, I'm going to remove this. I'm going to save, come here, refresh. Now you are not able to see anything because we have removed that class. Now if I'm going to add that class, we are getting the stylings. Means this stylings we are getting because of this class, right? But you're not happy with that background color, you wanted to override. So for that, to override, you have to write their class name. So how can we represent a class? Dot your btn primary. Now you want a different background color, so for that we have a property called background. You want the combination of two colors for linear gradient, something like 45-degree, and this time you said I want black and comma something like orange red, right? Now by default we are getting this style, but when you are going to save it, now you have customized, right? Now your requirement is whenever you are going to hover, its background color should be changed to some other color. So for that, what you have did, you have copied this. Okay, fine. You came here and you told colon hover, and you have changed from orange red, from black to something like dark gray. Okay, fine. Now save it. Now come here. It means they are providing some default stylings. Now if you want to customize, you can customize. You have to use just their class name. You can write some different class name, like for example I wrote something like btn1, and you wrote some set of properties, right? Dot btn1, and you wrote some set of properties which are not present in their classes. Now you can give this class simply by giving one space btn1. That's it. Now your properties are going to apply for that properties. And the one thing you guys have to understand, their file link should be the first place. After that, you have to write your style tag. Okay. Now, if you are writing this CSS properties in external file, then your file should be next to their link. Because if you wrote, just consider, I'm going to copy this. and remove here from here, and I'm gonna keep after my style tag, and I'm gonna save it. Right now, let me remove this thing, and let me remove this as well. Now what I have did, I have wrote my style, my properties first, then I have linked their file. Okay, now if I'm gonna save and come here, we are expecting this kind of output as only, but when you refresh it, it is applying, right? Let me show you one thing. Now see, now by default you got some different stylings, right? You got their stylings, but you are not expecting these stylings. Why? Because your stylings are overriding with their stylings, but our requirement is our styling should override their styling. So for that purpose you have to copy this, and you have to keep their file as a first statement, then you have to write your style tag. That's a mandatory rule, guys. You guys have to remember this rule. Okay, because by sometimes by mistake we write our link first and then we write their link, and we don't get the expected output. That's the reason you guys have to be understanding. So this is just intro. I'm not teaching you button. We are going to see button in detail. Okay, we are going to see every component in Bootstrap in detail, and we are going to prepare 3 projects in this entire series. That thing you guys have to remember. And the timing of these sessions will be at 9 p.m. Indian Standard Time. And the persons who cannot attend these sessions, they can watch the recordings, and if they get any doubt, you guys can join our Whatsapp group, which whose link, like our Whatsapp link has been provided in the description, or else you guys can comment your thoughts on the sessions or any doubts in the comment box, so that we are going to rectify it. That's the one thing. And this was just intro. In this session you guys understood what is Bootstrap, why we have to use Bootstrap, and how can we use the Bootstrap. These 3 things has been understood. Now from next session we are going to take each and every component, and we are going to understand, right? We are going to understand about button, cards, forms, how we are going to get the rid of the CSS. Instead of writing 30 to 40 properties, how can we write same stylings in 1 or 2 lines or some 10 lines? That thing you are going to learn in the Bootstrap. And guys, you have to remember, Bootstrap is very, very, very important. Okay, because sometimes now you are creating a website in your laptop. Now your laptop has some 14-inch size, right? Now same website, if you open in 16-inch laptop, or if you open in mobile, your design should not get changed. It should not affect due to your screen size. So for to make it as a responsive means the stylings will be same for all the size screen, all the screen sizes. For that also we use the Bootstrap. So Bootstrap plays very crucial role. Without using Bootstrap you can make responsive using CSS, but the only problem is you have to write more code. Now to see, now to make this button in this way, we have to already wrote 10 lines of code. But if we are using the Bootstrap, we just wrote one line, class equals to btn primary and btn, that's it. And we got some pre-default stylings, and if you want to customize, we can customize it, or if you want to add some additional properties, we can add it. So we are going to get rid of some properties, right? This is just button. It doesn't might look that effective, but when you are going to learn Bootstrap in detail, you are going to understand the power of Bootstrap, guys. But it doesn't mean that you should not know CSS, because if you wanted to know Bootstrap, you have to know, okay, what property it is using, right? For example, I'm going to comment this thing, right? I'm going to save it, come here and refresh. Now I got, first of all, if you want to customize, first of all you should know now why primary is getting in white color. What property would we have in css to make it? If I want yellow, how can I make it? So you should know there is a color property. Now this background color in something blue color, right? Now you wanted some combination of two colors. So first of all, you guys should know, okay, this is coming because of a background property. Now if I wanted to change, then I have to use a background property. Now here it is a radius, right? Little bit radius curve, that is coming because of your border radius. That things you guys have to know, and that things you learned in already css. So css is very mandatory, but bootstrap is going to make as your life easy as a developer. That's it. Now same thing, we can write some set of properties and define the same kind of style. That also we can do, but we don't want it to write much code, we don't want it to waste our time in development, right? So that's the thing. The main aim of your software life is write less code and the output should be same. Now I am writing some code and you guys are writing some code. Our output is same, but you guys are writing the code in 10 lines and I am writing the same design or same style of thing, but code in 100 lines. But who is a good developer? You will be considered as a good developer, not me, because you guys are writing in less number of codes. So that's thing you guys have to remember. You have to write as many as less lines of code and you have to give a effective output. That's the aim of a good or a professional developer. So that's all for this session, guys. Now we are going to meet tomorrow at the same time and we are going to understand bootstrap in detail. So we are going to understand our first component. So what will be the first component, that we are going to see tomorrow. Thank you guys for watching my videos.